Next up, we've got Bidzy presenting our Sven Jensen and David Thawley. And that's still of event.
Good afternoon, TechCrunch. I'm Dave Thawley, and this is Sven Jensen, and we are the co-founders of Bidzy. We are super honored and excited to be here today to present our business with you. A little background on how Bidzy was born. One evening, I was kiteboarding in the San Francisco Bay when I got a little too high and a little bit too upside down while being stupid and showing off. So I'm back at my apartment at 8 p.m. with a sore back and a bruised ego, and I'm in desperate need of a back massage. I jump on Yelp and end up dialing 20 massage therapists, mainly getting no responses or otherwise hearing that they're booked for the evening. Finally, I get through to one therapist who's clearly out at the bar. Regardless, he only had one appointment the entire rest of the day, so he agreed to take my appointment, and we meet up at the spa 15 minutes later. It seemed really inefficient that I had to go through the painful process of dialing all of those merchants just to find one that was willing to take my money. Yet there's a pool of highly qualified small businesses that are willing to bend over backwards in order to bring a new customer through the door. I was working for eBay at the time and had a great appreciation for how marketplaces can effectively solve these inefficiencies. So Bidzy was born. Within a few clicks on our website or mobile apps, you can easily place a request for personal service, and you can even name your own price. As of today, you can use Bidzy to schedule your next haircut, nail appointment, dog walking, car wash, home cleaning, and a handful of other services. Bidzy is really simple and effective. A customer gets an appointment on their terms, and a business gets a paying customer through the door, allowing them to monetize otherwise idle time. Sven's going to jump in now and show you the details of how Bidzy works.
Thanks, David. How many of you have been in the situation where your day gets turned upside down, leaving you desperate to schedule a last-minute service? Hypothetically speaking, say TechCrunch changes the slot of your presentation schedule. This little guy has been patiently waiting around all day, but really needs to get out for a walk. Let me show you how I can solve this problem using the Bidzy app. All I need to do is pull out my smartphone and click on the Bidzy app. From here, I select a pet of the categories available and elect to get an individual dog walking for Bruno. Bidzy then allows me to set the terms of my deal. I set I'm willing to travel up to 1 mile and get to schedule exactly when it is I want this service. On the rating page, Bidzy lets me set a minimum rating that merchants need to have in order to qualify for this bid. Finally, Bidzy suggests $35, but being on a slightly tighter budget, I elect to offer 25 bucks. I hit submit, and my work is done. At this point, Bidzy is reaching out, contacting all the local merchants in the neighborhood, offering them this bid. And the merchant side is just as easy. A merchant gets notified on their phone, open up their version of the Bidzy app, and at the bottom right, you see my bids. This is a list of bids that this merchant can accept. At the top is my $25 dog walking bid. The merchant looks at it, considers their availability for this afternoon, and decides $25 is good extra money to have in their pocket. When this merchant hits accept, my credit card is immediately charged, and the service is scheduled on both of our calendars. Bidzy has allowed me to get the service that I desperately need and put extra money in the pocket of this merchant. Now, hopefully you all can see why this business model makes a lot of sense for you as customers. But for Bidzy to succeed as a two-sided marketplace, merchants out there need to love us as well. And to be fair, this is where most businesses addressing the hyper-local space fail. Dave and I spent countless hours speaking to these merchants before we launched the business, and their consistent feedback about their available channels of customer acquisition was pretty simple. Firstly, they were too expensive, or they were too complicated to set up. They were too risky, and the merchant was left under-monetizing themselves for the next few months. Finally, merchants didn't get the control on when the customer was coming through their door. Groupon should prove to all of us they did $2.3 billion of revenue last year, that local service merchants are desperate for channels of customer acquisition. And Bidzy, with our launch today, gives these merchants customer acquisition on their own terms. A merchant working with Bidzy faces no upfront investment at all. They have bottom-of-the-funnel customers who have already put a credit card behind their offer, and they have certainty and immediacy of when the service is expected. Finally, Bidzy merchants only need to accept bids when they know they have excess capacity.
We don't need to spend a ton of time convincing you that the local services market is big. Trust us, it is huge. That said, local services is a tough nut to crack. Luckily, Bidzy is doing something truly unique. We are the only platform that flips the equation and allows a customer to offer themselves to a business versus the traditional process of asking customers to filter through various business listings. When you submit a bid on Bidzy, we are effectively knocking on 200 doors for you saying, hey, are you free at 2 p.m. today? If so, are you willing to take this appointment for $20? Additionally, being a marketplace that connects consumers to businesses, we're starting off with the key facet to a successful marketplace, trust. Unlike consumer-to-consumer marketplaces such as TaskRabbit that connects you with a local consumer to perform the task, Bidzy is only connecting you with a verified, rated local business in order to perform the service. This is great news for most of us who prefer to get our hair cut by a professional instead of getting it cut by our neighbor down the street.
That's a quick overview of Bidzy and how we're disrupting the services space. We give customers the deals and the services that they want on their terms, and we allow merchants to bring more money through their door. Please, all of you, you can download the Bidzy app starting today on iTunes, or you can jump on the website. Thanks very much.
I think that's the first time that we have a dog on stage at TechCrunch's wrap.
Yeah. We found out that they don't typically like dogs in this venue, but they made a one-time exception.
What's his role at the company?
It's the technical co-founder.
Tracy, can you ask the technical question?
Yeah,
what is your stack?
Tracy's going to diligence you.
Bulldog?
Yeah. Kudos on the shameless cuteness thing.
If you don't like puppies and you don't like freedom, then we don't want to present to you.
What happens if you get acqui-hired? What happens to the dog?
That's part of a complex contract.
So I have a question. So I might be a great buy at $5 for a haircut, because that's probably what I'm worth to cut your hair $5.
Yep.
But you know, that number might get a 5-star rating. How do you sort of filter out people who are service providers? Do they then go sort of move up the price point?
I'm sorry, you're saying if you as a customer are submitting a $5 offer?
How do you provide apples to apples comparisons of service providers who are used to providing services at different price points? $10, you know, service provider is not the same as a $100 service provider.
Sure, so that's mainly based on the star rating. So if you are submitting a bid for a 5-star haircut, then that's automatically going to be pushing up typically the group of merchants who receive those ratings on traditional online rating forms. So when you submit your bid, and if a merchant qualifies for it based on their geolocation and their star rating, it's actually the first merchant to accept the bid that earns your service. This is how Bidzy's operating on day one. Farther down the line, assuming we have merchants that are auto-accepting or accepting at a very fast rate, then would use our own algorithm to decide what's going to provide the best experience for the customer.
So what are the top use cases that you have in mind? Because, you know, from the interface, there are tons of different verticals. But what is, you know, like the top 3?
So I think different people are going to have different products that they'd use. Some people would be fine with getting a haircut and using Bidzy to get that last-minute haircut when you need something quick and simple. Other people wouldn't let us go near their hair, but maybe something like a manicure, or maybe a dog walking, or even something like getting your house or apartment cleaned, you as a customer think of as more of a commoditized experience. And that's where products are the perfect match for us. When a consumer thinks it's a commoditized experience and they just want to get it done, and they can still set a star rating to have a level of quality assurance, but the more commoditized the experience, the easier it is for a customer to get their head around it.
It seems like one of the challenges you're going to have is this is a classic two-sided market, right? I mean, you have to have enough providers in order for people to find people that are willing to, you know, fill the bid. So just, I mean, that's usually a pretty hard problem to do. So I'm just kind of curious how you guys are going about it.
We hear that very frequently, and normally people say it's the chicken and the egg problem. And our non-value-added response is we think that our chicken lays a lot of eggs. But speaking specifically to the merchant side, we've got two main answers to that. One, when people are typically selling into a group of merchants, they're trying to get them to upgrade their cable package or buy a new CMS system. This isn't something that Bidzy is doing. We're offering them a customer at 2 p.m. today, whether they want it or not. And on top of that, in order to reduce this friction and not have the problem of a lot of boots on the ground in order to sell Bidzy into these businesses, we have developed a proprietary app that, regardless of whether a merchant's on our platform or not, when you submit that bid for the oil change, every merchant in the local area, whether they're on our platform or not, receives a telephone call, an SMS, and an email notifying them that this appointment's available, and they can choose whether or not they log on to the Bidzy platform in order to find out more.
So you have people making phone calls, or is this like robo-dialing?
No, it's all automated. We do have, it's all automated. And we do have the backup of, in the event that that's not gaining traction, there's a fair bid in the system, there's a manual process to triage.
On the consumer side, it's a little bit more of a traditional playbook. We've got all the normal social hooks built into our app and our website. There's Facebook and Twitter sharing. We already have a refer a friend program. So if I'm a user of the app, and I know one of you may be interested in it, if I tell you about it and you enter my referral code, I'm getting $10 to spend on my next bid.
How far along is the company? Like in terms of team, market, people you've signed up, customers?
Well, we launched about 3 hours ago. So far, the numbers are really through the roof. The J-curve is super steep right now.
When are you going public?
When are we going public?
Yeah.
That really depends on Lucy. That's one of her calls. No, but we've been developing for approximately 7 months. The business has been in place for 10. We just spent the first few months mainly doing research. The team right now is Sven and myself, as well as a group of contracted developers. But post TechCrunch, we're hoping to raise a round of funding and build out a more significant size in-house team. And then we've built out the technology to date so we can rapidly deploy across all US cities, although we're launching today in San Francisco.
So for the first time that somebody fires up the application, how are you guys going to make sure that whatever that person requests, you're going to be able to fulfill that?
So we start off by making the customer put bids in within our buckets. It's not a Craigslist-like format where you can type in free-form text and you have a huge array of what you can request. In my case, I wanted a pet service, and my options were dog walking, grooming, or daycare, and I selected an individual dog walking. So we already knew exactly who the merchants were that did that service, and the customer was pushed in an avenue to structure their data. We have a geolocation, so we know how far I'm willing to travel, and that auto-populates, and I can change that sliding bar. And then the rating system, again, is another level of filter. Yeah. So there's very few points where you get to put in unstructured data. You can put in comments if there's something very specific that you're looking for.
But it may be late, but it may be during the evening, that they make a request, for example.
I mean, there's some bids that we're never going to be able to offer. If you're looking for something very specific at 2 o'clock in the morning, and merchants aren't working at that point, we're not going to solve that problem, nor is anyone. But speaking to these merchants, a lot of them are small businesses, a lot of them are desperate, and the numbers that we've got are they're working at about 50% capacity. So that hair salon, 50% of the time, they're sitting on their hands, reading the newspaper or surfing Facebook. We're giving them a new channel to get a customer. They know how much they're going to get. They didn't have to do anything in advance of it, and they get extra money.
Great. That's Bidzy. Thank you guys and Dog very much.
Thank you guys.